Hi, everyone. Welcome to In the Kitchen with Wynn, where I have candid conversations with founders about their journey. And today I have Stephanie, founder of Steph's Fit Culture and owner of Bodyrok. I actually met Stephanie and learned about her through an email that I got that had a whole bunch of beautiful photos of healthy recipes. So I reached out to her, um, and now she's on the show. So Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about what your culture is?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I love to get the word out and spread my love of eating healthy and plant-based. So Steph's Fit Culture, it's a website where I share ideas about living a healthy lifestyle. And of course, I've been plant-based for many years with a focus of gluten-free and a lot of grain-free recipes. And not that that is for everybody, but my goal is to help people realize that you can eat delicious food and create beautiful recipes without using animal products. And even if you're not vegan or plant-based, to realize that by, showing people that you can go without it, that maybe people will use less of it. And there are health consequences with eating less animal products. People feel better. There's less inflammation in the body, less disease. And of course, eating more plant-based is better for our environment. So my whole goal is just to help spread awareness of other choices, right? And to show people that you can, like today, I'm doing a photo shoot. We were talking about that earlier. And my focus right now is like summer recipes. And so I came up with this really delicious vegan corn chowder and coconut milk. And so just making people realize that there are ways to make traditional recipes plant-based and it tastes just as good. So even if you're not vegan, you're not plant-based, to show people how to make recipes without incorporating animal products. So that's one element of it. And then the other part is just to create, a forum and a place to share my ideas about living healthier. So not just the food part, but, using like less toxic cleaning products, beauty products, supplements. I did a blog post about salt and the importance of salt and how people think that salt is bad for you. And, I did a blog post on actually how it's a very important mineral and how it's good for you. So I try to give people recipes, but then also blog posts about living a healthier life. So it's just a place.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just a place to share what I've learned on my journey of health and wellness and expand. I've always helped friends and clients with their diet and living a cleaner, healthier life. And it's just Steph's Fit Culture is a place where I can reach a greater audience and help more people beyond my community here in San Diego.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I love what you said, that it's not just for, you don't have to be 100% vegan or vegetarian to benefit from, your website and your recipes. Cause I do eat meat and I do eat fish, but my focus is like, with my meal, either with meat or fish, I always focus on a lot of vegetables. And, I'm also an advocate of healthier, cleaner living and diet. And that's actually kind of how I came up with my sauce, my satay sauce. It's a clean label Asian sauce, but it does have fish sauce in it. But I'm
we're gonna work on a vegan version of your
either a vegan version, or I'm coming out with a peanut sauce, which will be vegan and no sugar as well. And I think for even, for me, like I try to have at least one meal a day that I don't eat meat or, any animal products. And I think that, it's important to think about like what works for everyone, but just kind of even making those shifts towards having having more plants in your diet throughout the day, whether you only eat a plant-based meal for lunch or for dinner.
Right.
So I think that that's huge, and it's made a huge difference in my life, just learning to find new ways to make, plants and vegetables taste good, where I don't even feel like I'm missing out on, on like meat on some of the meals.
Right. And that's my goal. A lot of people that have crossed paths with me and my family, we've influenced them to go more plant-based because they didn't realize. And I remember a couple of years ago, we had Thanksgiving dinner with a few families, and we brought a whole vegan Thanksgiving to their house, and they had turkey and their, non-plant-based entrees and side dishes. And oh, you've frozen. Can you see me still?
Oh yeah, I can see you. Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, we brought a whole vegan Thanksgiving, and it was interesting because by the end of the meal, all of the plant-based dishes were gone, and all that were left were the turkey and the animal-based traditional Thanksgiving. And it was after that I realized that sharing the things that we eat in place of, an animal-based meal or holiday, people realize that they don't need it. It tastes just as good. And especially for Thanksgiving, a lot of what you love is the side dishes, right? Turkey isn't.
That's really my favorite, are the side dishes, like the butternut squash.
Right. And, stuffing, I make, it all vegan, and it's delicious. And I realized there was a place to, share my version of traditional meals and entrees and recipes that people enjoy, and turn them plant-based, and people enjoy them just as much. So
I love that. And, before when we talked I think it was last week, we talked a little bit about how it took you like years to really make the jump to start the website and start, going public with your culture and your passion, because you are the owner of Bodyrok, which is an amazing fitness center. It's like the mega reformer kicks my butt every time. So you're busy, you have that business, but tell us a little bit about, how long have you thought about this, and what made you finally take the jump?
Well, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I've been creating recipes. I've had this notebook where I've, stored all of the recipes that I've made over the years. And, friends would text me or email me, hey, can you send me the sweet potato recipe or this recipe? And I started to think, either a book or a cookbook. And then I started thinking website. It'd be nice to have a place for people to go to. I can just send them a link versus,
yes,
picture of my handwritten, recipe. And a lot of times I, create recipes, and I have to redo it and keep track of the measurements, because I don't cook with a recipe. I make my own recipes. So I started thinking that a website might be a good place to start. Really, initially I thought about a cookbook and a book, because I've wanted to share, my story and my life, how I got to where I am now, and my journey. And I thought, well, maybe starting with the website. And it's been many, many years in the making, because I've been busy raising my children. I've been busy growing Bodyrok Studios. And the pandemic kind of gave me the space to be able to do it because of course we were closed for a good part of a year and a half. So I ran out of excuses. I actually had time to sit down and do it and stop making excuses for why I couldn't. I was too busy. And it's been really fun. I love it as a creative outlet. I think it's really important to have a passion project. Steph's Fit Culture is that, and it makes me feel good to be able to help other people move toward a healthier lifestyle. Even if all of it isn't for everybody, it creates awareness of other options.
Absolutely. And I think just that one step, right? It's like they see something on your website and they're like, wow, that looks really good. Just making that one meal can make an impact. I can totally relate with that because, I've always loved cooking. I've cooked for all my roommates in college. I'm self-taught. And I thought I didn't have that bad of a diet until, it gets, when you start learning about all the different other options, like the better for you options that you can use to replace the ingredients that you grew up eating or just the norm, right? Because we've all evolved.
Right. And a lot of the ingredients that we ate as children weren't as bad for you. Like you look at the wheat that we ate as children, it's different now. Like people have a lot more gluten sensitivities and food allergies as a result of how our food is being grown and the toxins in our soil and the air and in our environment, and just the way that food is processed now versus when we were children, right? So that's something that people have had to evolve in their eating. Maybe they were able to eat gluten as a child and now they have a sensitivity. A lot of it has to do with the way that food is processed now versus in years past.
Wow. I agree with you because I grew up with a lot of skin issues. Eczema, all over my body, my legs, like hives. And, I had my family and we had no idea what that was all about. And I tell you, once I started eating a cleaner lifestyle, like really cutting out the grains and everything, it's made a huge difference on my skin. Like I'm just not itchy and I don't have the hives like I used to, because that actually went throughout childhood and in my adulthood. I, suffered from eczema at certain times of the year.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I've been gluten-free for a long time. And anytime I go the next level and go grain-free, I feel so much better. I have less in my body. Like lately, I've not been eating any grains, and every day people are like, "Oh my God, your skin looks so beautiful. Your skin is glowing," and it's the grain-free. I don't know, it makes such a difference. Even if you're eating gluten-free, I think my diet is so clean. And when I get off of eating gluten-free grains, my body feels better. My skin is better. It's interesting. And I always encourage people to play around with that. A lot of people don't realize that they are negatively impacted by eating gluten or eating grains or eating dairy or eating sugar. People are accustomed to not feeling as good, or their skin doesn't look as good. Sometimes eliminating it and realizing what you could feel like if you got rid of some of these things. I think it's good to clean it out sometimes and see how you feel.
Yeah, that was a huge journey that I went on in 2016 when I did do the Whole30 diet for 30 days. I mean, like no alcohol, no wine, no sugar, soy, gluten. And it really kind of reset my body, my metabolism, and eliminated my anxiety. That was it was so crazy,
like people don't realize the impact of what you put in your body, put on your body, how it affects your hormones, how it affects your mood, how it affects your sleep. And until you get rid of some of these things that you think are okay because you don't know how you would feel without it. That's why I think it's good to do, a whole food cleanse. When I need a reset, I do a raw food cleanse.
Wow.
And it's really amazing the impact that raw food can have on your health and how you feel. And it makes you realize that even when you think your diet is clean, it's not. And it's not like, even when I'm trying to eat less grains and really clean up my diet, it's not like you can't have a day where you have it. Like I've been trying to not eat as many grains, and I'll go a week without it. But then last night I had Thai food with my kids and I ate rice. And it's not like you have to commit, I'm never eating grains again, or I'm never eating this again. But to realize that eating less of it is impactful on how you feel and how you look.
And I think I love that, because I feel like if I say like, okay, I'll never eat rice again. I mean, I'm Vietnamese. Like I was raised on
I can't live without rice. I love rice.
but like you said, I grew up with having rice available, a pot of rice every single day on the counter, and we pick at it throughout the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then the next day. And, I don't eat nearly as much rice. I maybe have rice once a week today. And a lot of times I'll do cauliflower rice,
And those are good, replacements. I use cauliflower, jicama, and it is nice, but boy, when you really want to have rice.
and I allow myself that, because if I say no, not at all, in the past, like I get a little crazy. I get like obsessed, and all I can think about is rice. And then I'll like binge eat like rice for like a week.
I know. Well, you know what my replacement for that, because we need healthy carbs, right? And especially if you're active and you're working out, and we need carbs. And so I ate a lot of potatoes, and potatoes are a good, carb replacement that are grain free. And so I think potatoes must be my favorite. All kinds of potatoes.
I do like potatoes, but I mean, I'm telling you, as a Vietnamese girl, noodles and rice is like,
same.
Like I'll replace, sometimes I'll have, I'll do a vegetarian pho and just use zucchini noodles instead of noodles, or I'll put zucchini noodles and just a little bit of rice noodles. So,
what is a good alternative is mung bean noodles, and it's made from bean. And it's a very similar texture to a rice noodle. You wouldn't really know any different. So when I make the curry soups, I use that in place of.
I love mung bean noodles. So I grew up on that. We call them glass noodles. So I've done stir fries with the mung bean noodles, with a bunch of bok choy and mushrooms, and we actually cook in soup too. So I can do like the turmeric glass noodle soup. That's really good. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get you to do a guest recipe on Steph culture. That would be so fun.
Yes, I love it. And it's funny because my dad's side of the family, I've learned, are mostly vegetarians. Like my uncle in Australia makes his own tofu from scratch. My grandmother, my dad's mom, was a vegetarian for over, I think 30, 40 years of her life. So cool. I love vegetables, and I can cook, like all plant-based meals, and I do quite a bit. I think, it's the fish sauce that gets to me. I do love.
I know, you and I will have to get in the kitchen and come up with. I've played around with making a vegan fish sauce. I mean, I don't
Right.
remember because it's been so long since I've had fish sauce. So it's hard because to me things taste good without it. But
we'll have to play with that because I think that's the big thing. And some of the vegetarian vegan fish sauce on the market, it has a lot of sugar and gluten, and I think that's the big issue for me. So
I played around with making it with like coconut aminos, tamari, coconut sugar, kind of stuff. So, to me it tastes good, but again, I haven't had real fish sauce for many years.
many years.
Many years.
So I mean, I obviously know like this is your passion, and what is in the future for Steph's Fit Culture? Like, what is one of your big goals for like your next step?
Well, I mean, my long-term goal was to write. I love writing. So if you go to my website, it's not just recipes. I share a lot of my journey as a single mom. As you know, I lost my husband and had to raise 4 kids by myself. And so I enjoy writing, and I always have. And it's been a long time dream for me to write a book. And I figured that the blog was a good starting place where I could share little snippets of my life and my theories on life, and help other people that have gone through difficulty and inspire them that you can move on from it, that you, even though you go through hard times and things are difficult, there's life beyond that. And just to, help and share some of the things that have helped me along the way. And anyway, so my long-term goal really is to write a book.
I love that.
Share my story. And I would also love to do a cookbook. And so that's definitely in the future. And even, podcasts and maybe some speaking arrangements where, getting groups of people together to, I've talked to some other people about this, where it would be maybe sort of a retreat thing where you help people with all sorts of, health and wellness and spirituality, like kind of hitting it at all, angles, and like maybe some sort of retreat with yoga and breath work and, meditation, and teaching them other ways to cope. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've heard, I don't know all the details of your journey and your story, about, you raising the kids alone and the tragic loss in your life, but I can only imagine how difficult it is. And, I've been on my own journey too, when I went through my divorce. And it's
hang on one second. Can you check my zucchini bread? This is a real life of a food blogger, as I have a zucchini bread in the oven that I'm going to take pictures of later. So you can check out the recipe.
I love it. I'm always doing like 50 things at once myself.
Smells delicious. How does it look, Jake? Is it cooked?
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, offer like a retreat and, get people, together and have other people in the health and wellness space, collaborate and offer, some sort of cool experience for people to come to. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. Obviously I mentioned the book and a cookbook. I'd love to do more podcasts. I've thought about a podcast of my own, even just doing more videos, sharing like quick and easy, recipes that you can make, like a 10-minute recipe.
Right.
That kind
and
of stuff.
It's all like coming out of your comfort zone, right? Like, I mean, starting this podcast is definitely out of my comfort zone, but the more I do it, the more I love. And I love, one of my passions is just connecting with people. I love people. I love to learn from people and about people. And I figured, hey, I'm just going to do it. I'm not really that tech savvy, aside from even Zoom. I have difficulties, but if I could just help one person out there, and
exactly, it's a lot of work, right? Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yes, exactly. And you put your heart into it and your time, and sometimes you get a little discouraged, right? You don't feel like you're reaching that many people, and all it takes is for a few people to say, hey, I read your blog post again, and for them to express what it meant to them. I'm like, even if it's just one person,
just
10 people, you don't have to have an audience of 1 million people to share your passion, to share your journey, to share your thoughts. You have to start somewhere. And I think that it's more important just to start.
I agree with you. Well, thank you so much.
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to look at my
sorry.
Is it cooked? All right, wait, hold on 1 second. You don't think it needs more time? Oh, it's good. Okay, sorry, we froze there for a second.
No problem.
My zucchini bread was cooked enough.
I love zucchini bread, by the way. So I'm excited for to see your recipe.
Well, I try to share recipes that have to do with what are like ingredients that are in season. So right now I'm sharing, a lot of people have their gardens and are going to end up with a lot of zucchini. So I'm sharing.
Awesome.
A bunch of ideas what you can do with all of these zucchinis besides give it to your neighbors and your coworkers.
Well, I'll take free zucchinis. I love zucchini.
I do too.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. We're running out of time here on Zoom. I got the notification, but thank you so much for sharing your journey and your passion. I know that I'll definitely put in the notes to like your website, and
thank you.
I know it's going to benefit, like we said, just one person, it makes a huge difference, right? But I'm going to share it and let everyone know. And
I appreciate that.
I can't wait to try some of your recipes and to get in the actual real kitchen for us.
I know. Well, we're gonna do recipes together with your peanut sauce soon.
Yes. So that's coming along. So I'll let you know when it's ready. So
thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Bye.